Ernie Johnson along with Andy Katz, who is the insider for NCAA.com. This halftime is going to be a little bit different. No highlights to break down, anything like that, because we're tracking the big story of the big dance on this, the second full day of play, and that is that a no contest has been declared in what was to be the last game of the night tonight between Oregon and VCU. So Oregon has advanced into the round of 32, and this is all because of COVID protocols involving VCU. So a lot of questions out there, Andy, and a lot of folks wondering what exactly is going on. Bring us all up to speed on what you know.
So VCU head coach and the school confirmed that there were multiple positive tests in the VCU program within the last 48 hours. They've been tested every day for the last 3 weeks. And due to Marion County protocols, which obviously the NCAA has adopted, that is why VCU ultimately had to be declared a no contest. Oregon advances. And earlier tonight, I spoke with Mitch Barnhart, the Kentucky athletic director, who is the men's basketball selection committee chair, and asked him, how does this affect the controlled environment they have in Indianapolis?
Well, a couple of things. First, my heart goes out to the VCU student athletes and Coach Rhodes and their team. They deserve to be here, and they worked their way to get to Indianapolis, and for them not to have the chance to participate in this incredible event, my heart goes out to them. I know they're extremely disappointed, and we share their disappointment. Our first concern is for the health and safety of our tournament. We have created a controlled environment, which we think is working effectively well, although obviously not perfect. There's going to be positives from time to time, and unfortunately, there were multiple positives very recently, and it caused us to get to this spot. But I think that we have created an environment. If everybody continues to mask up, to keep socially distant, takes really great precautions with their team meals, continues to travel the right ways, follow the protocols on the benches during timeouts, we can continue forward and making really, we're doing positive things. We've played 20 games in the last 2 days, and another 16 were on slate today, on pace to get another 15 of those in tonight. And so we feel very confident that we can move forward if everyone continues to take care of the protocols.
Yeah, Mitch, we've already seen this week where Georgia Tech had to play without a player, Oklahoma had to play without a player. Earlier this week, Dan Gavitt, the NCAA senior vice president, said that if you have as few as 5 players, you could still field the team and play in this tournament. So why can't VCU play?
Well, there's a combination of things that were a little different in this scenario. Most notably, our conversations with the Marion County Health, also with the recent multiple positives. That combination gave us concern for all the participants. It wasn't just VCU, it was all participants. The University of Oregon student athletes, the officials, and the people working the games. Our care for the safety and precautions of all participants was really important, and as it related to those going forward as well. So that made the situation a little bit different than some of the other scenarios that we've had to work our way through.
Yeah, so to that point, what's the biggest difference between what VCU is going through and what Virginia went through as the Cavaliers arrived on Friday and are playing their game on Saturday night against Ohio?
Well, the Virginia program obviously was quarantined immediately when they had their positive, and they went through the 7 days and the quarantining and 7 negative tests, and came in here and tested immediately and hadn't had a positive test since then. So it made them available for the tournament. This was different. It was sort of the reverse of that, where the positives have occurred right close to the game, and with multiple in the conversation, and that was just something, again, did not feel comfortable with exposing the potential risk to the University of Oregon team and all the other participants as we looked ahead.
And as you said, this was a Marion County Health Department decision ultimately because it's their protocols. VCU now out of the tournament. How does VCU get home and those that have tested positive?
Working through all those details and working with the NCAA staff and our travel partners, and we'll work closely with all of our medical personnel to make sure that the protocols are taking place to return them safely home, and in hopes that everyone will gain their health and no one else will be exposed to the virus.
I'm going to ask a question, Andy, that I think a lot of fans out there are wondering because, okay, here you are, you can call it a bubble, you can call it a controlled environment. But VCU had gone through this whole time and everything is fine. And then how does something happen like this as you approach game time? And does that indicate that maybe there's a hole in the system in terms of this controlled environment?
Well, I mean, I'm just going to base this on what we've watched for the last year, which is, unfortunately, this virus can obviously take up to 14 days potentially to surface. And as Mike Rhodes said, the VCU head coach, they've been testing every day. They played their A-10 tournament actually in Richmond, and then the final was on Sunday, on Selection Sunday, against St. Bonaventure in Dayton. So that was Sunday. So do we know where they got it? There's a good chance it might have happened over the weekend in Dayton, Ohio. And then they bust down to Indianapolis. The first positive test, what's today? Today's Saturday. It's our understanding that it happened within the last 2 or 3 days. So if that's the case, you know, it could have literally taken 5 or 6 days to surface on some of these individuals, whoever they are, and we don't need to name names, but it just might have taken longer. Sometimes it pops in a couple days, other times it can take up to a week.
Did you get any feeling at all from talking with Mitch about the level of concern of this not being just an isolated incident?
At this juncture, they are cautiously optimistic that this is isolated, but I do know that everyone involved in this tournament holds their breath every day as every team tests, hopefully negative, to get to play that night. And the latest example was Virginia testing negative twice in the last 24 hours to be able to play Ohio. No one knew when they arrived if they'd be able to play. They tested negative, and they were. And this is what's going to happen over the next 2.5 weeks. They're just going to be holding their breath each day as everyone goes through the testing.
Appreciate the way you use all of your contacts and for sharing this information with me and with the rest of the audience out there. We'll be back with more.